Earthlings. Welcome to RGN, the Regular Guy News. I am your host. I am your anchor, Dan Black. And, oh man. Whoa. Welcome back to the Regular Guy News, the least pretentious name in news, the news that admits that we don't know the news, but we also know, if you know what I mean? Like, it's like we don't know, but like, we know. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's 3 questions in there, and that's how we do it, baby. I like to keep you confused, which is very 2021. The theme of 2021 is confusion. And the late, not so great President Donald Trump, who will be leaving office, You tell that he's just leaving in time for me to get my sanity back. But he's leaving office. He set the precedent. He laid the groundwork, the tracks for this confusion. Anyway, if you're new to this podcast is we are news junkies. We are obsessed with the truth and the news, and we're like, what's going on? And now we live in the age of misinformation, and we dig to actually try to find the answers to the best of our knowledge while still admitting, like, this is coming from sources we think are right. And so we try to apply a little regular guy common sense to it all to see where we land, okay? Somehow, in this day and age, it's a currency, baby, to just admit, man, I don't know. We live in the age where everyone is like, but I know. And I'm like, you don't know, man. You don't know. I know you. You don't know. You know what I mean? That's another question. We're right now at 5 questions. You're confused. Before we get into it, before we head out to the field, I would like to say, check out our new YouTube channel. Before, I've been posting the YouTube channels just on my personal Dan Black Attack page, but now we have a Regular Guy News YouTube channel where you could see all the video. You could see me. I am now reporting live from sunny Burbank, California. And I officially moved the whole operation to Silver Tiger Studios back in Burbank, California. Had a whole redo. You could see what my beautiful studio looks like. And also, when Erin's out in the field, you could see she's really on the ground. You can tell. So check that out. Go to our YouTube channel, Regular Guy News, and also spread the word about this show. Tell one friend about the show. That's all we ask for. The show's free, remember? And give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. Just scroll right in there and just give us 5 stars, write a review. These guys rock, and that'll be dope. Also, another thing to plug is check out my new Medium page. If you don't know what Medium Medium is a self-publication. It's a blog. It's a blog. It's a blog, right? I mean, it's a formal blog, you know. But it looks more like articles. But I truthfully love it. I like going right to you guys. I wrote this article. I intend to write more articles. I wrote an article entitled "Trump Worked Himself into a Shoot." It's over on my Medium page, which is danblackattack.medium.com. For my dad, it's www.danblackattack.medium.com. Just so you know, he's going to ask me. He's going to say it didn't work. And you know what, folks? You can't blame him. He's doing his best, right? Anyway, but Trump worked himself into a shoot. It's kind of how I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. If you don't know, most of you probably do. And it's just about applying the psychology of the pageantry of pro wrestling to modern politics, which is how I believe that the wrestling fan is very well equipped for where we are and where we're headed now. If you look at all these pro wrestlers getting elected into Congress now, I mean, it's scary. There's a lot of little district where you could sneak your way in. Marjorie Taylor Greene, deplatformed. Anyway, we'll get into it. We'll get into it all. But yeah, check that out. And next week we're gonna have more information about how to interact with us better. We've been telling you guys to just send us an email. We're upgrading to a better system. We'll tell you about that next week. So a lot happening here in RGN. The feedback from you guys is great, and I think you'll dig it. Now we are recording this. It's to go Brian Williams style. It's January 19th, 2021. We're one day out from the Biden inauguration. And that's why we got someone out there down in Washington, D.C. Let me go out to the field. Our only RGN correspondent. She travels the world, Carmen Sandiego style. Where in the world is Erin Finnerty? Let's see. Erin, are you there? Connecting. Erin.
Hey,
Erin.
Dan. I'm
Erin.
here today.
Oh, wow.
Hi.
Erin, I'm glad we got you. I thought maybe
so
we
glad.
wouldn't.
I'm just me.
Erin, where are you reporting from here? I'm seeing it. It looks dangerous where you're at.
I'm in D.C.
Oh. Sorry, was I being too loud?
You're being a little loud, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in Washington, D.C. today.
Right.
I'm outside of the Capitol building where they are erecting a non-scalable fence. And there's two gentlemen behind me who are none too happy that I'm broadcasting here. We got one guy stringing a barbed wire fence, and this armed guard behind me is...
Are these now? Whenever I see an armed guard, I don't know if these are government officials or, I don't know, QAnoners or what are they called? Overwatchers, overbearers. I don't know. There's a
whatever.
Yeah. Whatever they are, whatever you guys are, you're, these, whatever these self-proclaimed militias, the people who stormed the Capitol. No, this is an actual U.S. military guy?
Yes, he is. And, I'm just sitting here.
He looks sus, this guy.
He's sus. I think I'm the one who's sus because I'm here. I've set up my little RGN portable studio. I have a cup of tea. I'm chilling. And they're like trying to build this fence, but I'm outside the fence. So I don't know what his problem is, but.
Yeah, I mean, totally. It's true. I mean, we don't have, just to let you know, we don't have any press credentials. We kind of send you there on my own dime. No. And I apologize for I spoke to your travel agent, Phyllis. She said that
Phyllis,
you were not that pleased with the ticket we got you flying to DC.
Oh, thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, listen, we're doing our best here. We don't even have a Patreon. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm here. I literally have nothing. I have no bags.
I know. I'm sorry.
It was extra. I have nothing. So it was just me, and I'm out here. It's cold.
I know. Well, I registered you as an emotional support animal. And
that's why.
That's what happened there. So that's why you had to sit on that. You had to sit on that guy's lap, which frankly was inappropriate. I apologize.
Inappropriate. And the vest he made me wear was so restricting. It's not a short flight from 1814 to, Washington, D.C. So,
I know. Well, it was the cheapest flight I can get you back from the past. If you don't know what she's talking about, check out last week's podcast. Well, Erin was back in 1814 at the first storming of the White House. Yeah. Anyway, Erin, I'm glad you made it. We'll get you slightly better accommodations on the way back. Maybe we'll throw you on a wing. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we got a lot of topics today, and it looks like I'm seeing on the board here that you have a special report for us.
I do. I'm bringing you a special report today, Dan.
Okay. So tomorrow, but I'll tell you what, if you've been watching the news like I have, and that's a brag.
Oh, good for you.
Okay. All right. Listen, it feels like Biden's inauguration's today. Right?
You'd think so.
There's a lot
from the coverage that we're getting.
It almost makes me feel like Biden. Listen, I guess I don't follow inaugurations that closely, but I've never remembered a day before covering of the inauguration like this. Am I wrong? I don't. I'd have to look back.
Well, I recall there being some coverage of the president leaving.
Right.
4 years ago.
No, this is Biden's giving. He spoke today. Kamala spoke today. Now they're doing a nice tribute to the people who have died. They opened a memorial for COVID victims, So that was a nice thing. But I also feel like in kayfabe, you know what I mean? In the pageantry, right? And that's kind of the stuff I focus on in my articles, It feels like Biden's trying to jam the news up so Trump doesn't get he gave a farewell speech today, apparently.
Never heard it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because Trump was deplatformed. And I mean, where do you even watch this? I guess only on Fox News? Or you got to go on.
Is Fox News showing it?
he can't post it. You would think he would just post it on Twitter, right? Because they didn't show it on. I had CNN on mostly. I was walking around. They weren't showing Trump's farewell speech. Probably because a lot of it's lies. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of. There's no way Trump's listen. Even if let's put this in perspective, right? If I was leaving office as Donald Trump is, right?
Okay.
And I'm leaving, I got the lowest approval rating in leaving office ever, especially for a first term, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you've left in such a disgraceful way. I mean, leading an insurrection over, a joke on all accounts. Very small population of people that you're gonna speak to, I believe, in your life. Think about the people you know. Like, think about the Thanksgiving table, not this year, not 2020, the 2019 Thanksgiving table, and like, how many people there would actually be like, he's right to do what he did? Maybe you get someone who thinks like voting was sus, right? But do you get somebody? How many people at your Thanksgiving table, even your conservative uncle, is like, he had to host that Saving America rally, and he did the right thing there? Like, I don't know,
There definitely are people who are like, yeah, red, like that was the right move, but those people are like crazy.
Well, I'm just right.
Those
so I'm just talking about like the
uncles.
Right. Well, I'm talking about the majority.
The majority. Say you had like 25 people that you're related to around the
You'd
table.
have to have a pretty big.
At least one is gonna be cuckoo bananas.
Yeah. The way it really works is like, it's probably a whole enabled culture of like, probably everyone at the kook Thanksgiving they all agree about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, hold on. Sneeze. Woo! I'm allergic
COVID
to good content, baby.
Oh.
So anyway, no, I've been cleared of COVID. I spoke to the doctor today. I was cleared a while back. Anyway, but okay, here's the deal. So Trump's lying because, like, even I'm saying, if I was leaving office like this, I would gum up. I'd be like, listen, get me a sheet of anything I did good. You know what I mean?
True.
So he's leaving, but Biden was, he has so let's jump into just discussing this Biden inauguration. So it looks like, and then we'll get into your special report right away, Erin, because while we're talking about Trump and Biden, because frankly, I would like to talk about this, and then I would like to move on to some stuff that's more RGN-y, that's more practical, that's more affects your life more than the pageantry of an inauguration. That being said, this stuff will gum up the works, but right now where you are, there's an unprecedented level of security there.
There's so much security. Like behind me, like there's only 2 guys, but there is barbed wire, and just to my left and to my right, there's thousands of National Guard members. Some of them are sleeping, eating lunch out here.
25,000 National Guard members. So look, well, whatever. You get it. It's a lot. We don't need to. You don't need the numbers. You get it. It's gonna be crazy. My question is this: is like the debate. So what the inauguration of Biden? It's not gonna look how you expect to see it because there's not gonna be a crowd. The National Mall the mall is closed now. If you're thinking, hey, the shops are not going to be open, those are also going to be closed, but for a different reason. I'm talking about the mall where you could watch the president be elected. Normally, it's full. So right now, I'm seeing a picture of the classic shot that you look at when presidents get elected. They walk from that like red archway, and then they go out and speak onto that podium that's kind of like, I don't know, looks like a couple hundred feet away from the actual domed Capitol building. But if you see the way it's set up right now, it's like normally where you could fit thousands of people, it looks like, with chairs, is like one per every 6 foot, one chair. So it's probably like, it looks like 40 chairs,
Yeah, I guess so.
Right. So it's kind of crazy. So it's going to be like a ghost town there. But so here's the only thing that I find interesting in terms of I was watching Bill Maher, who came back on Friday. And it's very funny. I watched Bill Maher, and one of my friends was like, oh, such a liberal. Like, not negatively. It was our mutual friend. He's a liberal
Yeah.
guy. Just said it to like kind of poke fun of me. And I live in L.A. And I'm here in L.A. In Burbank, California, right
Mhm.
now in the Silver Tiger Studios, which is a beautiful rental. And like, it's funny that I don't feel like Bill Maher is a liberal show because people I know fucking hate Bill Maher. Like, and not because they're conservatives. They're so liberal that they don't even see Bill Maher as a liberal.
Yeah,
You know?
can't even hang with Mar.
Yeah, it's like the lines used to be like, you're watching Maher, you're extreme liberal. I think if you're a Bill Maher fan, like, I don't know, but he's a comedian, but you know what I mean? If you're like, agree with everything he says, let's say, that makes you kind of like a moderate, a centrist lefty now,
Yeah, I guess
even
so.
though he donated $1 million to Obama's campaign, $1 million to Obama, you know? And then people will be like, well, because Obama's a centrist. And I'm like, yo, I don't have
Right.
time for you. What are we talking about? It's never left enough. It's never right enough. I'm confused now. I'll watch a guy who donated $1 million to Obama. I got to draw a line here, you know?
I think that's fair.
Right? Yeah.
But I guess everyone has their reasons, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Like
it's
why people don't like him.
who? Oh,
People don't like Bill Maher.
why people don't like him? I thought you
Yeah.
said black people don't like him.
No, not black people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That,
people
well,
in
that's
general.
probably also true, but
Yeah.
well, it's interesting because like he dropped the N-word on his show, and then apologized for it. Had Ice Cube on, and they had a great conversation about it. Ice Cube gave him shit for it, and then Ice Cube started being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but then
Right?
there's Ice Cube, who's got a whole list of problems.
Yeah, and I was like,
It
oh
seems,
shit.
at least.
What is anything, right? Like, I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
it's so cool you had Ice Cube on, a guy I respect so much, and then always coming after the Jews. You know, it's interesting. I'm a Jewish man. I mean, by the way,
Yeah.
which is like, you know what, Erin? I meant to do this at the top of the show, and then I forgot to do it. It's in my list of stuff. I forgot to do it. But I always notice that a lot of people like to like. A lot of like even news people like to say like their faith up top, like, you know, it's in their bio, like I love God or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's
Like that.
Family, God.
And people do it even like they're
Fitness.
hosting a show. It's like, I'm here to give you the news and serve God. And you're like, that's fine. Everyone's like, that's fine. Like, I feel like at the top of the show, I would like to say, hey, what's up, everybody? Dan Black, kayfabe Jew, devout atheist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, just putting that out there.
right. But we really need to, like, we need to get rid of all the, by the way, the kayfabe is a wrestling word for pageantry. We got rid of I got to write an article about the word kayfabe, you know? But pageant, the pageantry of, like, you're better because you're religious or something, that has to go.
Yeah.
That has to go. Like, it's okay.
I'm never impressed or feel lesser than when someone touts their religious beliefs.
Yeah, because I was watching
front of
Cuomo
me.
last night, and you know I'm a Cuomo mark, right? Chris
I love
Cuomo.
Cuomo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like his show. Yeah, I don't agree with everything he says,
Yeah.
but he's a Catholic dude, you know. I don't know, why am I pretending? I assume he's Catholic. He's Christian, right? But he was like, yo, we have to have a real talk. He literally he's talking to Don Lemon in between shows,
Don.
you know. They're doing the classic the Don and Cuomo
The Don
show.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, we need to have a tough conversation in this country. We really need to do it about religion, you know? And I was like, yes, we do. That's what he teased it up. I'm like, yeah, we do. And he's like, a lot of people are saying they're Christians, but not living like Christians. And then I was like, that's not the direction I wanted you to go, man. Yes, that is a good point. But why do the founders of this country understand. Like, everybody's such a constitutionalist, right? Everyone loves the Constitution, right? I said that like a true. That was almost like Fox Newsy. Everybody loves the Constitution.
We all
right?
love it.
Yeah. No, we all live the Constitution. Amazing document. It's a flawless document because it can be amended, right? Like, beautiful, So, right, the Constitution is an undeniable masterpiece. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
pretty good. Have you read it?
yeah, right. I mean, it works. People, right? Like, so many countries have fallen, and the
We
Constitution
have
is.
the best one.
We have the best.
It's easy.
Ask the Philippines. I don't know if you know that. You are Filipina.
Yeah, I am.
But the
I
Philippines.
I don't think they
yeah.
have a constitution.
I could be wrong about this. You look it up, but I believe that the Philippines Constitution is basically a copy of the United States Constitution, and not like as a secret or anything.
That's the correct move.
And they have a lot of the same problems as we do. Like,
Yeah.
their problems in the Philippines are us jacked up by 10. So it's like they have their gun problems are 40 times worse than ours. But, like, the point is that if you look at our Constitution, yeah. Did I make that up?
No, you're right. They have a democratic government in the form of a constitutional republic with a presidential system.
Yeah.
It sounds very much like our own republic.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They have kind of like Arnold Pineda is like the Filipino Steve Perry. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, we're going to. Anyway, that metaphor is so unnecessary, but it's just because I wanted to talk about Journey. But okay, anyway.
Yeah. Well, they got a lot of corruption there.
Right. No, I watched the whole Vice piece about like a couple years back about the Philippines. It was amazing. Amazingly shocking. They kids are making guns at 10 years old there. They have a big illegal gun trade there. It's a whole thing. But anyway, every country's got its problem. You were on that beat. You were in that piece. I saw you in that. How could I forget?
Younger.
Absolutely. How could I forget that?
Anyway.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? Guns got the Philippines.
Constitution.
The Constitution, right? But the separation of church and state is like, even then, when they were probably less of sinners, they didn't have Instagram. They weren't butt models on Instagram or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was people were like not showing ankle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They even knew like, yo, we gotta remove religion from state. You know, we have
They
to.
just don't go. It's oil and water. It's just they're not meant to mix.
And now
that's why America exists to begin with.
Right. Now, like some of the most respected politicians are like, I'm a Christian first. It's like, no, you're not. You might be a Christian first in your personal life, not when you're an elected official.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know where those lines seem to be blurred for me. I don't really know. That's what it feels. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't mean I'm not telling you can't be religious or whatnot. Like, absolutely do it. That's your faith. Do it. But the separation of church and states is just like, when I remember when I was growing up as a kid, I was like, wow, that is the smartest thing a country, like, that has to be so disciplined of a country to know that, how important that is. Because honestly, it's, when you're saying that, what you're saying is like, your religion is not real, right? Like, I mean, it's the implication, right?
This government is real.
Because if there was like an almighty God, you can't serve country over God, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, if there was like a big guy in sandals telling us what to do, then we wouldn't need a constitution.
A big guy in sandals?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's what my God looks like.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't want to disrespect your God.
Yeah.
Is he Filipino?
No, he's like a different, he's like me. He's like a mix.
Yeah. Oh, right. He's
like vaguely ethnic guy. But he does wear sandals.
Right. So there is there is a, like, I don't know. I'm a math guy, you know. I have a CPA license. I write jokes, which can be mathy sometimes. Like, I'm, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a math guy. What else can I say? You know, almost like too rigid sometimes. Where I'm jealous of my friends who are like out to sea, like they're artists. There's throwing paint against walls. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? And I'm like, where's the math there? You know, but it's not to disrespect anything about your life and the choices you make for your life. for me, it's like the math's no good. The math's no
Right.
good for you to be serving God over country. It doesn't. You can't. It's not possible, right? Because wouldn't that require, if you're a God-fearing person, wouldn't that require all of your energy? And this is what people don't like about a guy like a Bill Maher, is because he has to make this point in the most smug, pompous way possible, which is like, your religion. Okay.
I mean, he made a whole
right?
movie about it, right?
Yeah. And I rewatched that movie. It's not very good. Like, to be honest, it's
Oh, I
not.
thought I liked it. I only saw it once. But I
It's
remember
not
thinking it
great.
was
He
good.
doesn't. It's not great because the thing with Bill Maher, and I'm a fan. I don't know why I'm still talking about Bill Maher, but the thing about Bill Maher, because it is relevant to a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about here, is like, I don't see why you can't be respectful of people's beliefs while still questioning them.
Right.
And he is always like, you gotta like jab them and this and that. Like, and I'm like, people
Right.
don't respond well to that, so don't do
Yeah.
that. You know.
Yeah.
But that's always because he is under the guise of being a comedian first. Right? And again, him being a comedian first is almost the same thing as like, I'm a politician who serves this country, but also God first. And you're like, like, right? It's almost the same thing. It's like, I'm trying to be funny, and that's the contradiction of a guy like a Bill Maher. And probably me. It's like, you're like, right? It's like, you can't serve comedy first while also questioning things that are like dead serious to someone's face. Effectively, really. And then if you're gonna like, so religious is like, he's making jokes, he's doing jokes in between, and you're like, I don't know what mood I'm in here. But anyway, that being said, I see him as a pioneer of a tone of shit that I want to do. So while at the same time I'm criticizing him, I also admire a lot of elements of what he does. Point is that, and this all ties back. Bill Maher was saying on his show this week that he came back was, he's like, why don't we just do the Biden? And I think he was kind of like way off on like a couple points this week. And Katie Couric was on the show, who I never understood why she's successful or famous, just because of my age, not because of anything she's done. You know,
Right.
I just didn't really see her coming up. And like, she was pretty great, smart, rational, educated. I was just impressed by her.
I mean, she's been like my entire life. She's been like
something.
delivering news. Yeah, around.
Right. But also was like the host of the Today Show, right?
Yeah.
It's just like one of those like blurred lines where you're like, are you just a personality? Are you Carson Daly, or are you Anderson Cooper? And by the way, all these lines don't even exist anymore. Anderson Cooper is hosting New Year's Eve, baby,
with Andy Cohen.
That whole thing made me
That was so embarrassing.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was like, bro,
we
stay
were
in your
texting
lane.
during the show, and it was embarrassing. Well, he usually has Kathy Griffin with him, who I like, and they make a fun pair. But this year it was like empty Times Square.
But you're a news guy.
Cohen.
What are you doing? You're not reporting.
Well,
You're
he's
like
a personality, right?
Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, he like interviews.
Well, that's by
people and
choice.
Stuff. Yeah.
If I was him, I'd be a news guy. I'd be like a hard news guy.
You don't see Wolf Blitzer out there yucking it up.
Oh, Wolf Blitzer, what an interesting cadence. I was sitting here the other day by myself trying to do a Wolf Blitzer impression, and I was like, I can't do it, because Sudeikis did Wolf Blitzer on SNL for a while, and it was fine. It wasn't a good impression, but it was like, oh, here's how he's doing Wolf Blitzer, which was fine. But Wolf Blitzer has a thing where he's like, yeah, like, I can't do the voice, but it's more about how his way he responds is. He'll be like, yeah, that was a terrible thing that happened there. And you're like, what? I'm gonna study the Blitzer-isms that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because this is what people need.
Blitzer, like, when I hear his voice, I know. Like he shows up in a Mission Impossible movie, and I'm like, I can detect.
Yeah, he's talented. He's talented at he's good at what he does.
And he's super serious. I don't think I've ever seen Wolf Blitzer crack a joke or a smile on air.
See, there's a couple, like Brian Williams is like, I told you, he's like, day 365 of the Trump administration. Like, I crave like a hard, like a newsman. And so like Anderson Cooper, who's a really smart, great news guy. When he's hosting CNN New Year's Eve and he's wasted, it's like, I don't need this from this guy. I mean, and
Right.
it removes some credibility from me. Like, it's
You
like,
want like down the middle, like Dan Rather, Peter
Uh-huh.
Jennings, like this is the news.
what's her name? Leslie Stahl?
Leslie Stahl.
Yeah, like, yeah. Anyway, this was all to say about Barr,
Yeah.
Biden, and the Biden inauguration, which is already not going to look like any inauguration we've ever seen. He was like, yo, he shouldn't do it outside. He should go inside because there's all these threats coming. And I'm like, fuck no. You do it out. We're not scared of these punks. A group of banditos dressed like shamans who need to eat organic food, look like fucking Applebee's. People think the macaroni grill is still open. Like, those people are like the people we're scared of. These like fake militia. We're taking our country back. Say ticker jibs. Like, no,
Right.
like, yo, Joe Biden. We're talking about the president. We're talking about the United States of America with this military that's way overfunded to begin with. We can't protect Joe Biden to go outside and in tradition, and all of our traditions have been tossed by this disgusting mule, Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, we're going to like toss everything we absolutely stand for to be scared of a 15,000 person mob of fucking jabronis in cargo shorts. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Totally.
thing with like CNN. Like, for example, like, you know, I mean, why do I talk about so much about CNN? Is because we know Fox News is dealing. I'm going to talk about Fox News in a little bit. But, like, Fox News is like, Erin, you should put on a jacket, by the way. It's cold out there, no?
Well, you heard me when I said that Phyllis sent me to DC and I couldn't bring anything. I was coming from like August 1814. All I got is this turtleneck.
All right. Well, luckily you're being warmed up by the heat of this podcast. I mean, this is fire content, but I'll say this.
I got a tea anyway, so.
It's like, why would we be scared of these people? I have no idea. Like you're saying,
Yeah,
like, it's almost,
they
and so
want
CNN
Uncle
is like
Joe to
fear
trade and
mongering.
go inside. Yes.
Yeah, like,
that doesn't make any sense.
When you look at both sides of the news, you're like, okay, so CNN is like those domestic terrorists. Now, yeah, they are technically domestic terrorists, but who the fuck is scared of these people? Not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you call them terrorists, it's like I'm not calling them terrorists because I don't want to because I think like they're actually standing for free speech and something righteous. I'm not calling them terrorists because I'm scared of terrorists.
Right.
Fucking Osama bin Laden terrified me for 20 years.
Al-Qaeda,
You know?
yeah.
That guy, you know what I mean? These guys are agents of actual terror. You know what I mean? These guys were agents of, I don't know, travel agents. These people were traveling. They really were
Knuckleheads.
travel agents. They closed up the office and they went to D.C. for the
See
night.
you later. Oh no.
So I don't know. They should do it outside. I'm glad that Joe Biden is. Joe Biden consistently, whatever you want to say about Joe Biden, consistently over delivers, consistently makes the rational choice in the face of every fucking person looking for attention who's like, he shouldn't do it outside. What's he doing? And he's always like, nah, I'm doing it outside. I'm not scared. Right? He consistently is like, good. I mean, is level-headed in the face of media that is alarmist on both sides.
Well, and he it seems like he listens to the facts. Like, okay, we have 25,000 National Guard. They've all been vetted. You're going to be safe. It's not like, he maybe actually reads his daily briefings and stuff like that and has a realistic idea of what's going to happen on Inauguration Day.
Yeah, and like so let's just talk about, and this is why I say dig for the truth. And I say that in my article, the Trump worked himself into a shoot, like dig for the truth. Now, that's kind of like the part of my article where I'm like, maybe I should go further, but I was trying to keep it simple, and I'll get to it in other stuff. But like, what does digging for the truth mean? Well, you can never be closer to reality than the source material, right?
Right.
So like everything you read it's telephone, it's editorialized, blah, blah, blah. So the further you are from the actual event. So what do? like an idiot. I listened to Trump's phone call with the Secretary of State in Georgia. It's a 1-hour phone call, but I heard it, so people can't spin it on TV about what it was. I knew what it was. I heard it, So I watched Joe Biden today have actual tears about becoming the president of the United States and then go speak about to COVID victims. And he was at Delaware speaking to people in Delaware. I went to school in college in Delaware, so like I spent 4 of my most formidable virile years in Delaware at University of Delaware.
We've all seen the photos.
We've seen the photos, folks. I'll post a pic of me. You have seen a photo.
Yes.
He went to University of Delaware like I did. Jill Biden received her doctorate at the University of Delaware. And he said, when I die, and he's hysterical crying, he's like, when I die, Delaware will be written on my heart.
I know.
One of my guys.
Sweet.
No,
I know. Well, and also I didn't know this, but he wanted to continue to travel from Delaware to DC on Amtrak, but because of security and COVID safety, he's moving into the White House.
Right. So, okay.
What a guy.
Now, that being said, we're going to, when he's being the president, same way, you can respect the presidency while not respecting Donald Trump. We'll see what he does, and I'm going to hold him accountable. I'm being honest about my fucking bias, unlike these other people. You know what I mean? But you don't have to worry about my God bias. So that's a plus, right?
There's no God bias on this show, my friends. None.
Absolutely. I can't wait to be tasting the soil, baby. But anyway, yeah. But believe what you need to believe. Honestly, it's cool. It's cool that we all believe. Diversity of thought is truly a beautiful thing. Right. So, okay. So yeah, I hope he does it. Another thing Bill Maher was getting wrong, and Fox News is getting this wrong, because, Erin, I would like to move on to discussing myself watching Fox News last night before we get into your special report. Okay? I watched Fox News last night.
I want to hear about this
experience. I was watching Sean Hannity. It came on my TV, automatically, and I turned it on because I'm like, I know we're doing this show today, and I'm like, I'm trying to see both. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see it all again. Now, again, I'm removed from actual source material. I feel like I'm smart enough to recognize editorial from fact and blah, blah, blah. And look, one thing that was consistent between this and a Bill Maher show, although they never do this on CNN, is they both were talking about Biden's weaknesses physically. His Fox News very focused on Biden's cognitive decline. And you can see they edit every shot together to look like he's lost his mind, that like he looks lost. Everything is edited. Look lost, right? It's always like, Now, okay. And then Maher was like, Maher was like, Biden, he's old. Which is, it was so odd coming out of Bill Maher, because he's been a voice for ageism. And I'm like, what? What? Okay, fine. But he was like, he broke his foot playing with his dog. His eye exploded on the campaign trail. And you're like, yeah, so fucking everyone I know hurts their foot playing with their dog. People I know are like 30 years old. Not to mention, he's not lying that he's not 78. Right. He's never been like, I'm not 78. You know what I mean? And you're like,
and he was very forthcoming about his injury. Like, Trump had been to the hospital. No one knew why. Like, you don't know anything about him. Like, Biden, he's got a stutter. He hurt his foot with the dog. He was wearing a boot. It's transparency.
So I was like, I don't know. I mean, nothing gets closer to the source material. Now, let's talk about me, who watches Biden all the time, right? I have nothing else to do.
As much live Biden content as possible.
Okay. He's pretty good most of the time. If you watched him, if you were a Fox News watcher and you just saw the clips they show you, and if you watched his full speeches and his full press conferences where he's speaking to people, you'd be like, oh, he's a lot more with it than I thought. Yeah. You would think that.
I can imagine.
But I did see him this week. He was clearly reading off prompter, announcing one of his cabinet picks. It was clearly a cabinet pick of someone he doesn't know that well, that he was vetted by his people, and they wrote down like a bunch of stuff about him. And he did the thing where he was like reading the prompter and was like, I don't know, it wasn't good. He wasn't delivering it well. And then he was like resorting to his catchphrase, which is his Biden's version of Trump's people of like, because I mean, it's a terrible thing. Like all the Trump filler is Biden will be like, there's nothing we can't do together as Americans like that. Yeah. So when he goes to that, it means he's off. He doesn't know what to say, or it fits perfectly. So he pulls it. And I was like, wow, this is really Fox News fodder. But to me, it happens so rarely. I saw it one time where I was like, oh, he clearly was. But I think like now he's starting to be fucking busy, you know?
Yeah, of course. And he's going from being like essentially a private citizen for the last 4 years,
right,
to the campaign trail to this. So
he's like, jumping off the Ukrainian payroll, and now he's going on the United States payroll. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, Joe Biden and I actually worked together at Penn for a few years, so we used to be coworkers.
Wow. You worked together with Biden? Was working at Penn as what, a professor?
Yeah, he Biden's Center for Government in D.C. He when he left, when after Obama's time was finished, his job was working at Penn.
Oh, cool.
In D.C.
I guess I never thought about what he did after that, right?
Yeah, I saw him in the building where I worked once. He was having a meeting in
Is that just a lobbyist group, though? I don't know. It sounds sus.
I don't know what they were doing, but
anything that's like the blank for America, you see a lot out of Fox News. It's like, who's this contributor? And you're like, this person's the head of the like Collaborative Justice League for Free Living in American Policy. And you're like,
it was the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. So they would like have people come. They were
sounds sus to me.
Strengthening leadership for the future.
Sounds like a lobby group taking in lobby money. Well, honestly.
Never do that. Private university.
Okay, we'll have to look into that. We'll dive deep into that. Okay, so I want to tell you a little about my experience watching Fox News last night. So I'm watching Fox News. I put on Hannity, and I'm watching it, and the conversation is not. Listen, the tone's always off on the show. It's always off, but they were having a conversation where it was like, I don't know how I feel about what they're saying. They were talking a lot about big tech. You know, and I was like, all right. And then I was thinking about our conversation about Section 230, and it's a lot about muted conservative voices and that stuff. And I was really trying to hear it out. And actually, some of the conversation was pretty level-headed, not necessarily a combo I would be a part of normally. So you're like, all right, that's fine. Yeah, I guess it's fine. You know, it didn't really like rub me the wrong way. It was kind of fine. But then they go to commercial break. And then in commercial break, they start in with, and you're like, this is clearly just to get viewers to come back after the break. And they start being like, Biden is coming into office. And they start talking about his message of unity. They literally show a super cut of him being like, unity, 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 you know? Right? Which I genuinely believe is his goal. Whatever. Maybe I'm getting worked. We all know, especially read my article, you'll know what a work is. If you're a wrestling fan of work means someone lying to you and you believing it, right? I believe Biden is seeing his goal right now as to unite this fractured nation. I would have such a hard time believing that you think he's some kind of secret deep fake agent. Like they're treating him like, all right, well, Biden's coming in, and their goal here is to push unity. So you'll let your guard down, and they can get their liberal progressive agenda through and let in all immigrants and put a mask on you. This is what they were saying. It's like, as a caravan approaches the United States of America, their goal is to mask you up and let in immigrants while you're wearing a mask. You know, this was the message. No message of COVID-19. Nothing. No, they didn't mention COVID-19 in. I don't know how you could, unless you're talking about. If you're going to mention masks, you got to mention the facts.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
And that was it. It was like conspiratorial liberal conversation. That's what it was. And it was like, it was literally like, this was like a full paragraph of, this is not quote for quote, but this was a sample paragraph of what Hannity was saying. He was like, listen, I believe in free speech, low taxes, low government. And I'm a conservative. Maybe you threw in a God there. Probably that's okay for some reason when you're talking politics. I don't know how that's okay, but maybe if you want to say free religion, then I guess it applies there. And he was like, you're like, okay. And you're like, I get what you stand for. Okay, that's fine. But then he's like, and the liberals, something like liberals, and Biden coming in with his cognitive decline, being taken advantage by the Liberal Party, who's letting a caravan come in and trying to force you to wear a mask. Anyway, we'll talk more about this liberal conspiracy when we come back from this break. Like that. And you're like, what?
Wow.
What? It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. You're conflating a caravan of immigrants coming in to wearing a mask to prevent COVID? Like, we're in the middle of a fucking crisis. Like, what are you talking about? This is what your parents are watching, you know?
Right. It's just like, and it's like, just picking and choosing things that these viewers would be afraid of. And I guess, it would get you to tune back in after the commercial break. But it's just like, I don't understand how you could let yourself like be fooled by that. Like, wouldn't you as a viewer, even if you were a Fox News person, be like, what do the two have to do with each other?
No, because it ties into, like, to be honest, they work me sometimes because I'll start being like, I have a thing, people are, maybe it's a gift, I don't know. I really wanna, I wanna believe that everyone's not just buying a bill of goods, you know, that everyone is like, oh, they're actually seeing something I don't see, you know? And I get burned by this behavior sometimes, like, because I can be naive. Like, a lot of times I've noticed in my life where I'm like, oh, all right. Like, I don't, that doesn't feel totally like that, but like your feelings are valid. And like, you know, and I'm like, all right, I'll hear that. And then like, you think about it later and you're like, what a crock of shit that I should have just pushed back on, you know? And, you know, so that's why I kind of am like hearing stuff, but like then I especially to do this show, I want to present what I believe to be the correct opinion while admitting that it is just my opinion, you know, or just my perception. I think about it more, and a lot of times I'm like, what the fuck? Like, when you can hear something like that and it'll tie into your frustration, your anger, it appeals to your frustration. And let me tell you, I have a lot of frustration. I would like to get into this about the government. I've been very frustrated with the government of California this year. They've directly, negatively affected my life with their incompetence, you know? And I get why people who feel that frustration would see this rage outlet and be attracted to it. You see someone being like, you're already feeling frustrated by like the government. And so, right, like for example with me, California government, I'm very frustrated with them. I'll get into the details of that in a little bit so you know what I'm talking about. And you're tied into that frustration. You're like, oh, I'm feeling so angry right now. I'm angry. And then someone throws in a rant, a list. Yeah, and the government is letting us all down. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's how I feel. And they're letting a caravan in, and they're forcing you to wear masks. And you have to literally go like, all right, I'm mad about the first one. But when you're worked up, you're going to be like, you know what? Maybe these guys know what's up. Like all good indoctrination, like all good scams, they all have a level of truth. That's all good scams work. Like, for example, Scientology does auditing. That's how they recruit you. They give you a stress test. Auditing is basic therapy. Therapy is good. You come in and they tell you that. They have there's a lot of good teachings into something like a Scientology. And there's, and same thing as Nexium. All that stuff, all these cults, they're all based in some kind of therapy or something, or some kind of thought that you're like, oh, wow, this really helped me. And then they take advantage of manipulate you and they sink you in
Right.
that way. That's the same thing they're doing when they lump a caravan coming in. It's conflating two major national issues. Immigration, no one disagrees that's a big problem. But it's the liberal agenda to just, oh, we're going to let everybody in and you have to wear a mask. Now you're like, I'm a prisoner in my own state, but these people are free. That's not what's happening.
Right.
What the fuck are you talking about? But
Why
you
would
understand,
that happen?
right?
Like, make your the citizens, we're the prisoners, and they get to come in and have free reign.
Right? So it's a
Makes sense,
manipulation, and
right?
these people know
Yeah.
better. Because
Yeah.
when you have to host a show on cable news like that, you have to write it, right? You actually have writers, and you get a segment, and you know better. And also, they're like, how many people are coming back from the break?
Mhm.
Like, don't get me wrong, this is liberal media as well, which is like CNN is happy Trump's gone, and at the same time, the people in the suits in the back are like, we're gonna have way less advertising. Our numbers are gonna be down.
It's just gonna be boring again. Like,
Right.
I never used to watch CNN, and even in the Obama years, like, I love Barack Obama, but I wasn't like watching the news 24/7 because I wasn't like that worried about anything.
Right. And so like there's people having ugly conversations at quote unquote liberal media companies that are like, well, thank God this pandemic's still going. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
let's put the numbers up on the screen. That stuff is true, but does not make shit Trump did okay or right. And that's what Trump is a master of. He's a pro wrestler. And to be honest, it's not even Trump as much as like guys like Roger Stone and shit, and Steve Bannon. Like
Bannon, yeah.
Steve Bannon literally had like a GoFundMe account to build the wall because he knows I'm gonna play into these patriots who watch Fox News, who are like, let's build a wall because they're mad at something else and they're gonna take it on immigrants.
Right.
And he's not even using the money for a wall because it's impossible to build a fucking wall that big on that kind of terrain, which is a natural wall.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so dumb. They played the most dumb. Let's not even call them dumb. Just people who are uninformed and manipulated by their TVs, you know? Yeah, some of them are dumb also. But anyway, Erin, that being
Dan.
said, to give you the other side of the coin, and then we'll get to your special report.
Okay.
I keep pushing it back because it's too good. I don't think I can follow it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
And
It's beyond belief.
Absolutely. The people are talking about people. Is that Bonnie Raitt, that song? People are talking about
people.
I used to karaoke the I can make you love me if
Oh,
you
I
do.
love that song.
Because it changes a room. Like you want to just like prank people. You want to fucking prank motherfuckers out there. You want to prank
yeah.
people?
Let's
But if you
do
want to
a
just
sick
like,
prank.
people are always like, "Oh, what's your go-to karaoke song?" And it's like something high energy, something fun.
Right.
Just get in there and just go like, turn down the lights, turn down the bed, turn down these voices inside my head. And people are like, what is going on here? And they leave. And then it's a less crowded room, less spread of COVID, especially if you're in Florida. Karaoke
And
bars
then you
are
can
open.
really get crazy with it.
Anyway, okay. Okay, I'm just debating my beef with California. Should I even get into it? Or should I keep it in
What's there to have beef with
vagaries?
California about?
I have a lot of beef. California state is just a fucking mess. The state deserves shit. It does. It does. They deserve
you
shit
gotta
because they're
pay
not.
you have to pay the fiddler for living here. You know what I mean? Like, the weather's too good.
Okay, so here's the deal. I was on unemployment, okay? And now I'm starting a job, and like I said, I shot a commercial, it's going to air. I'm going to be fine. But my whole industry shut down, you know?
Right.
I get a message that's like, you've been flagged for fraud, okay? Now, obviously, my thing's not a fraud. I do it. I cross my T's. I dot my lowercase J's. And, but they're like, we're going to get you information on how to do this fraud. By the way, they send this on New Year's Eve, okay? And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I literally have COVID, okay?
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like this is during COVID, tough times.
Mhm.
I'm laid out. Actually, I got this message before that because I was laid out and I got this message, okay?
Mhm.
This was also before I got approval to work as a CPA in the state of California, okay?
Oh, yes. Yes.
They're not
the aforementioned test.
They're not
Yeah.
in the office. And by the way, when I spoke to them, and they were lovely, these people, and I'll get to the point. There's a whole thing. And apply this to every state, right? Because this is the interesting thing. Because I want to rabbi this. I want to see this from both sides. But let's just go from my angry perspective, okay?
Okay.
So right now I'm going to
Okay.
purposefully give you only the anger, which is more entertaining, mind you. That's why Tucker Carlson is like the most watched show. He's an angry, you
'Cause
want to
he's
punch him
pissed.
in the fucking face, but he's only
Yeah.
angry. He literally broadcasts with a permanent Batman scowl on, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I hate his fucking face. Yeah.
It's like if the Batman mask was like just on a face, that's what his forehead is and eyebrow area, right? Yeah, he's trying to inflict fear in his enemies, which is, I guess, the liberal media
Yeah.
elites, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
fear.
Okay, so I'll take this. I don't want to conflate issues because it's easy to do, which is kind of the point of what I'm saying here. But okay, so
Right.
EDD, whatever. I'm talking about California, all right? You don't know what EDD is. It's a specific. I'm laid out with COVID. They sent me a fraud thing, and they are not paying me anymore, okay?
Oh, okay.
They're like, you've been flagged for fraud. They're like, so I'm laid out with COVID. I'm waiting to get my CPA approved so I can start this job, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling that office. They're not in the office. They're not in the
Oh,
office.
yeah.
They're not in the office. So I need my government, need them right now for
Mhm.
to work and to be paid not to work to stay home. And neither of them are there. I'm looking at their hours. Oh, they start at noon. Okay? I don't have a job. I work out at 8 a.m. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Laid out with COVID. Can't get approved. Right? So this is my angry
Being
perspective.
accused of fraud.
Being accused of fraud by my own government that I fucking pay a high percentage of my money to. Okay?
Mhm.
And then I can't get my license, which is supposed to be done in 30 days. It's 4 months later. Mind you, during a pandemic, right? But again, with me, they have high expectations. For them, it's low, right? Okay.
Right.
Bullshit. Okay, so this is my anger perspective on this. It's like we need smaller government. We need to dismantle the government. This should all be done by people who can privatize industries who can handle this shit. Blah blah blah. Right? Okay, that's a rational perspective on this whole thing. However, okay, laid out. Okay, so. There's no however yet. I'm still in angry mode. So let's go. Okay, I got it.
Uh-huh.
So for the unemployment thing, I just decided to Google it randomly, right? Because I'm like, maybe this will be anything from RGN. Okay, the unemployment has been getting hit for fraud like crazy in the tunes of like billions of dollars. Okay, and so their plan to fight it was to flag, I think, randomly or either like hit parameters. 1.5 million accounts during COVID, okay? I read about it. And I'm reading about people who are way worse off than I am, whose kids are like, we're not getting it. And there's no numbers you can fucking actually get through to. These people can't work because of this pandemic. Their industry's either been eradicated. You know, if anyone, there's a big part of LA culture, and let's talk about SoCal. I mean, this is all of California, you know, is Hollywood, which is like, you know, if you, let's say you clean the bathrooms of a studio, the studio's not operational, right? So it affects every element of it, okay? So yeah, that's it. They block people from. Then they're like, we're going to give you information on January 6th on how to clear it, okay? January 6th comes and goes. A week goes by. No information on how to do it. Nothing. Not an email. Sorry, we're delayed. Nothing. Right?
Right.
Wouldn't you be
Yeah.
fucking furious at the government here, right? They're
Of
your tax
course.
dollars, which essentially you're asking back. You have, and then your federal government also it can't agree to approve and to give you a stimulus check, right?
Yeah.
They're arguing over giving you $600, and you think about how much money you give to them. You're like, you can all eat a fat dick. You suck, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Eventually, weeks later, well, I don't know what's today.
Today's the 19th.
So like a week and a half later, I get information on how to clear it, right?
Uh-huh.
So I do it. Click to a private company that they've teamed up with to identify, and I have to show my license, and it's a video you have to wave to be like, this is me,
Oh,
you know?
wow. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, so I do it, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I'm cleared.
Uh-huh.
I get no messages from them, and then I'm looking it up. Millions of people in California have no idea when they're going to review to see if it's me. Well, then if you can't handle it, you just pay anyway and you lose the money. Sorry, your system is shit.
Right. Right.
Right?
And then
Because
it's like,
people are
yeah.
destitute right now.
Yeah. And it's all dependent on their timetable, right? Like for
Yeah, it's like
millions
we
of
have
people,
to clear.
it's like
Right. We have to clear the
man-hours.
fraud.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like,
Mhm.
no, you're okay. So, and then I can't get my license either. All right, now I
Wow.
want to. So you would be furious, right?
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
easy to be like, the fucking caravan, they're coming in, right?
Yeah,
they wanna put a
they're
mask
gonna
on
get
me?
their CPA licenses. What
You
about
conflate
mine?
it.
Yeah.
You conflate it. Yeah, like these people are going to steal they took my CPA license, right? No, you'd
Yeah.
be like, you could come in and be like, these people, they're telling me to wear a mask. They're trying to cover my mouth. They're trying to silence me, right? And,
Mhm.
but letting people in here who are probably carriers of this disease. Easy to give into that. Easy.
Right.
And I can relate to that anger. What I can't relate to is not seeing the full perspective, not taking a step back, especially if you claim to be a patriot. If you claim to be someone who's like, I love this country, well then why don't you give it any benefit of the doubt? Now let's see it from the other side. Let's see the other perspective, okay? The other perspective on this is that I spoke to a woman in the CPA office. I sent an email, and I was like, I need this to start working. This woman in the CPA office contacted me personally. And she reached out to me personally, and she was like, hey, I saw your situation. I'm going to personally clear this for you because I don't want you to not work
Oh.
and that. And then they helped me with it. They helped me with the whole thing. She was in contact with me, right? Now,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. She also was like, I'm going to be here from noon to 2. I'm like, okay. That's not hours.
I've got a 2-hour workday.
Those are not
No,
hours.
that's not hours.
Those are not hours. That's not hours. Fine.
What is that?
Right? That's government. Same thing as unemployment office. They'll be like, our hours are 8 to 12 a.m. to call, and you can't get through. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
It's bullshit. This woman went out of her way. Then she cleared it for me so quick. She was helping me out. She knew my situation. A person that someone I idolized. You know what I mean? Someone who helped me out. She went out of her way.
Someone you look up to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had the vibe she was staying a little later than 2 p.m. for me even. I mean, come on.
Wow. She was there
After-
for like maybe 2:12.
Almost 2:12. You know, she might have even drank a fucking 5-hour energy for me. She didn't want to hit that 2 o'clock slump. Normally that 2 o'clock slump, she
shit.
embraces it. In the government, they go right to bed. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? The 2 o'clock
Yep.
to
Yeah.
them, it's like 10 p.m. But no,
It's quitting
and
time,
then
baby.
she said to me, she goes, hey, at the end of this call, she goes, so we clear it. She's like, thank you so much. And I'm like, thank you. She's like, I'm so glad we could clear this up for you. Nice. I go, thank you. Right? Because it's not personal. She works at this place. She's not making all the policies. You know what I mean? You don't need to yell at her,
Right.
you know? And she's like, hey, this means so much to you, you thanking us. If you don't mind, could you reach out to my supervisor? I'll send you the message. And tell them that you enjoyed, like that like you did a good job. Because she was like, morale here, she essentially was like, morale here is low, you know? People are
Yeah.
complaining like crazy. We're not getting one positive email here.
Right.
So, Erin,
Right.
let's see it from this perspective. Clearly, this place is underfunded, right?
Underfunded, understaffed, and underfunded.
The reason they're working from like 12 to 3 is monetary. Is because,
Right.
right?
Right.
So at the same time, it's like I had this epiphany in my head, which was like I could get into my anger here about how these people wronged me, or I could see about what's the actual reason this happens. And I'm like, oh, it's because you have people fighting against government, while at the same time people want government to be better and bigger. What? This is
Right.
the exact fallout of that, right? Why would
Yeah.
why would we be better than this? Why would we have a great working government when people's whole goal is to undercut it constantly? When the
Right.
most rich people in this country pay the least amount of taxes, why would government work? It's actively designed not to work for the bottom, which is, I guess, in this scenario during this pandemic, that's where I am. Which and I'm not ashamed of being at the bottom or something like that. I just mean to say, calling me the bottom is people got it way worse than I do, way worse. You know,
Yeah.
even though I had COVID,
Ugh.
can't audition or work. I was mere seconds away from losing my job because of COVID, and no one would have cared. They would have been like, sorry, we're just cutting you from this commercial, you know? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would have just lost the job. So it's like, the point is that there's always two sides to this thing. So it's like, if you're watching on one side, the other side, and you're like, the other sides are fucking idiots, you're just part of the problem. And to bring it all back to Mar, he was making a point during his new rules at the end of it, which was like something I've been saying on here, which is like, yeah, 80 people voted for Trump, but not 80 million people were at the storm in the Capitol. So,
Right. Right. Not 80 million people.
right. So, like, ultimately, like, we need to. we need to. I don't know how we do this. I don't know how we fix this. I don't know if it's even fixable. But we need to either decide we're going to have a government that works, or we're going to have no government, and then we have private unemployment firms or something. Because as we have it right now, it's a fucking mess. We're not prepared for something like this. We should be prepared. This is the richest country in the world. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna calm down.
Okay.
I'm gonna calm down.
You gonna calm down?
Erin, do you have anything to say about what I just said? I mean, was it brilliant or amazing?
I would say it was both brilliant and amazing. And you know, I it's a shame because it's like both your employment and your unemployment hang in the balance, and both of those things are in the hands of the state of California,
Right.
which doesn't have its shit together enough to get either of them taken care of. So
Right. And why is that? It's like it all comes down to the federal government, which is, funds the states unemployment, right? Unemployment
Yeah.
comes from that, and we're coming off this Trump administration, and forget about Trump for a second. It's just like the Congress is fighting over giving people pennies, and you're
Yeah.
like, so how can this trickle down in any kind of way to so it's like we just need to decide as a nation, like, and I'm really have a hard time seeing how we become united, especially when we have a president calling for unity and you have the most highest rated news shows in the country mocking him for saying it and discrediting what he's saying it's some kind of a conspiracy. I don't know, maybe they're right. Let's give them the unearned, completely foolish benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're right. Regardless if they're right or wrong, that's two that's two opposite messages.
Yeah.
So how do we get there? How do we see someone who's going to see my situation? And I think the most RGN thing we can do is give my actual situation, And you're like,
Right.
look at that. That's how do you get people to see it from both perspectives there, which I do. By electing me to the next president of the United States of America.
You're throwing your hat into the race?
Absolutely. 2028.
Oh,
I
2028.
gotta skip a year because
You're ready to go up against Kamala in the primaries, or are you running as an independent?
Erin, be honest, okay? And you won't offend me.
Okay.
With research, like, by the way, I would prepare. So keep mine prepared.
Okay.
Could I debate any of these motherfuckers? I would be prepared, I'd know the questions and stuff.
I would say I
Or
wouldn't.
would I get schooled by Kamala? I guess we'll break it down by person. Would Kamala school me?
You would get schooled by Kamala. I think
Fair,
that Buttigieg.
fair.
I think
Might school me.
Buttigieg might school you as well.
Well, I'd have to come in. We have to understand this. I'd have to come in from a Trumpian perspective way. You know what I mean? I understand
You'd
that.
have to come in hot.
I'd have to be like the liberal Trumpian, where like it would be about my energy, my pageantry, and my drink a beer with themness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe Sixpack.
Right. Yeah. Or Joe the plumber, more like that.
I
more
think
like
if you did your own research, I think you could hang with maybe like the Andrew Yangs of the
All right.
bunch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'll take it.
I'll
take it. The Yang's
I think
good.
I'd like to see you and Cory Booker go head to head.
The book.
Maybe in a feat of strength competition instead of a debate.
The problem is that how much I won't fully know how much of politics is actual wrestling, and if it's as much as I think it is, which is I think 100 out of 100, then I think I got to run as a Republican. I think I could really kill it on that.
Wow, you heard it here first, folks. Dan. Well, you know what? It seems
I'll tell you in the future. Yeah.
That's the move.
Well, I'm talking about modern Republican Party. You know what I mean? If they become the party of Lincoln again, then we're talking. Then I might genuinely run as a Republican. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in current, if I had to run in Trump's, because this is a party that's still apparently, according to the media, is being commandeered by MAGA still. I think I might be able to speak to the MAGites.
Really?
The maggots.
Are you gonna?
Does anyone call them the maggots? They definitely do, right?
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe we're the first, but
yeah.
Are you going to double down with the maggots, or are you going to bring them over into the light a little bit?
I think I'd have to go deep in the pocket. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I come out and be like, like I'm down. I'm down with COVID, which, by the way, I think I had the flu. All right, folks. Right? I mean. It was a cold. I mean, who could trust these tests, right? Curative? Can we trust curative, folks? I mean, we hate curative. We're at curative, right? This is the media. They don't want you to know, like, what curative. It's a phony. It's a scam. I looked at the numbers. Believe me, okay? I looked at the numbers. Okay, I'm down with COVID. I'm down with the flu.
Where are your papers?
I would have bounced that back if they just gave me some of the hydroxychloroquine, which my doctor wouldn't give me. My UCLA liberal elite. And I was in California, by the way, and I'll say that. I was in California, but I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I got drawn there, okay? I got drawn there. And biggest mistake of my life, setting foot in that hellhole. I'll tell you that. But I needed unemployment at the time, okay? It was not my finest hour, but that's why I know, just like many of you, I needed help from my government. And where was it?
It was going to the caravans.
Absolutely. That's why I want to privatize unemployment with a 25% surcharge.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the caravans rolling in. I have the documents. I have the footage. They were handing out CPA licenses at the border to everyone who came in.
And you need you got to have a stack of papers that you rustle around.
That's right.
You drop those facts.
They were putting Americans' CPA licenses in cages. Okay. Anyway.
Cages
all right.
filled with licenses.
I think that's where I stop, because what's my next heighten of this? It's not going to be appropriate. People are not going to like it.
Based on that alone, I think you stand a chance in 2028.
It's time for Erin's
Republican ticket.
Special report. The main event. Erin Hannity
from
Yeah.
the field.
You're gonna be glad. Gonna be glad I went last.
Aaron, what is up? Tell me what is your special
This is
report.
gonna be a. Oh well, pardon me, Dan.
Yeah.
Did you know that today is the last full day of Donald Trump's presidency?
I did know. I did know.
Did you know that?
I did know.
Okay. Well, you knew that
Pardon
already.
me. Pardon me. Ooh.
Yeah. Pardon me, Dan. Well, today's the last full day of his presidency, and as one of the last acts as president, he is expected to hand down a long list of presidential pardons and commutations. I don't know. I wrote this special report earlier this afternoon.
Mhm.
I don't know if these pardons have been handed down yet. Sometime before noon tomorrow, it's expected to happen. Okay.
Yeah, that was my question.
So-
when is the cutoff for when do these?
Well, Joe Biden becomes president at noon Eastern time tomorrow. So 9 a.m. your time, noon here in DC. Over the last month, Trump has issued almost 50 pardons and commutations for former criminals and personal advisors, as well as aides who lied during the Russia investigation, Republican politicians, and State Department contractors convicted over that massacre back in Iraq. So his pardons so far have been Roger Stone, you know him, you
Right.
love him,
Yeah.
Michael Flynn, Chuck Kushner, Chucky Kush, proud father of
Jared?
haunted doll Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to 2 years for illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, and witness intimidation.
Well, he didn't he get a
mhm.
hooker for his brother to set him
I
up?
don't know what Chuck did.
Aaron, I'm
That
not
could
making
be.
that up.
That could be.
Chucky Kush is
I
confused of
wouldn't have.
buying a hooker for. I'm gonna look this up while you go. Okay, switching roles. Switching
Okay.
roles. Go.
Yeah, you can look that up. Rob Blagojevich.
I typed in Chucky. I just googled Chucky Kushner.
Chucky Kush sounds like a weed dispensary out there.
Yeah, that does. Oh man, I'm getting some of that sweet country. Chucky Kush. Yeah, all right. Chucky.
That could be next for him now that he's been pardoned. Celebrity Apprentice contestant Rod Blagojevich was also pardoned because he tried to sell and trade Obama's Senate seat. And he's also just pardoned like 50 other wealthy businessmen, advisors, friends, homies, whatever. So the real question today is, did Chuck Kushner frame his brother with a hooker?
Kushner hired a prostitute to lure his brother-in-law, then arranged to have the encounter in a New Jersey motel room recorded with a hidden camera, and the recording sent to his own sister, the man's wife. The scheme didn't work. Kushner later pleaded guilty to tax evasion and making illegal campaign donations.
Yeah, so he's been pardoned.
He did this after he discovered his brother-in-law was cooperating with federal authorities. He hatched a scheme for revenge and intimidation. That's the kind
Jared's
of
dad.
That's Jared's dad.
Uh-huh. That's like a dad. Like that could be your dad.
Yeah,
doing that kind of stuff.
So I mean, those people are straight up mafiosos. The Jew mafiosos.
Yeah, that's dirty.
Yeah. All right.
Well, so the other question we have is, so who is up next on Trump's list of pardons?
Oh yeah. Right. So those ones are locked in, right?
Those have been locked in. Those are what the highlights of the pardons so far.
Yeah, those we can lock in.
So who's up next? A lot of people are talking. People are talking about people.
Yeah, people are talking about people.
A lot of people are saying Trump's going to maybe he'll pardon himself, his kids. Trump was advised by his legal team that the pardons he once hoped to bestow upon his family and himself would place him in a legally perilous position and convey the appearance of guilt and make him more vulnerable to reprisals. So it does not seem likely that he will pardon himself or his kids.
Okay.
However, he does have a list of about 100 pardons that are ready to go before he hits the bricks. The final batch of clemency actions is expected to include. The bricks.
It's the first time someone said he hit the bricks. Before Trump hits the bricks, I like that.
He's hitting the links. He's gonna hit the links down in Mar-a-Lago. But it's going to be a mix of criminal justice reform minded pardons, like the folks that Kim Kardashian West has been pushing for, and more controversial ones secured or doled out to his political allies. So we don't really know yet. Again, we have less than 24 hours for this to become public knowledge. But as of press time today, it's being speculated that rapper Lil Wayne, who's facing sentencing for a gun charge at the end of the month, will be on the list. There's also speculation.
Erin, can I just say something about Lil Wayne quick?
Yeah.
Which that whole thing is sus because Lil Wayne endorsed him and then is looking for a pardon. You know what I'm saying?
Sus, right?
That's got to be illegal, right? I guess it's hard to prove, right? That's hard to prove. That's an that's an OTR combo, right? Where it's like, listen, bro, I think Lil Wayne was like, yo, I don't want to do a Wayne impression. I love Lil Wayne's music, by the way.
The Carter 2, 3.
The Carter 3, I think, is the good one. Actually,
I
to
like
be
the
honest,
Carter 2 and the Carter 1.
which is the one that has Amele, 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 Amele. I think that's 3. Yeah. I like that one. And when he sings a song about being an alien. I think then after that he started playing guitar and it got weird. But
he's like pop punk.
Yeah. But that's an OTR. That's an off the record conversation.
Yeah, that's
Little
an OTR.
Wheezy calls up Trump and it's like,
Weezy
yo, I'll pardon you.
He's like, right. I'll endorse you if you give me a pardon. Like, see what
and then
happens.
if he pardons, I wonder if he pardons him. And then after, can Wayne rap in a song and will he implicate himself if he's like, "Yo, endorse a fucking orange piece of shit," like
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if Lil Wayne gets pardoned in exchange for his endorsement of Trump and then just says like, hey, that guy sucks, just did it to get this pardon.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It probably ruins your street cred, but in addition to Lil Wayne, people are speculating that he was going to hand down pardons to the aforementioned Steve Bannon and Rudy America's Mayor Giuliani. But sources are saying that it's unlikely that either will receive a pardon from Trump on his way out the door.
Anything about the pillow guy, the My Pillow guy? Is he going to get pardoned? For I don't know what he'd be pardoned for.
Well, he's been pardoned out of Bed Bath and Beyond stores, Kohl's, everywhere. You can't get a My Pillow anymore. You got to order it direct.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
so we'll see what happens.
That's kind of the stuff on Fox News they were making. Just to give an example about the points they were making, where I was like, I could see if I see this from the other side, I could see this. I could see if you're a conservative and you're like the My Pillow guy who's a religious guy. And then you see like, oh, they're dropping them from this, they're dropping them from that. Like, this is what it is to be a conservative. It feels like McCarthyism to that, to you. I get why people would feel that way. Like but it's not, I don't see evidence of this happening yet to people who are not like part of a big problem, Like, if you're lying about election fraud, this led to a riot on our Capitol. Like, where did you think this was going? So I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. There's consequences to every action. Anyway, sorry, Erin.
So I'm just checking my news feed right now.
Anything
my
about pardons?
Live news feed just to see if there's been any pardons issued so far today. Let's see. It looks like he has pardoned a couple folks who came to his attention through Alice Johnson, who is one of his supporters, who previously served a life sentence for like a low tier drug charge that Kim Kardashian petitioned to have her sentence commuted. And I think he's pardoned a couple people from that initiative that she works on, but I'm not seeing anything controversial,
Erin,
just yet.
I am seeing something that is so controversial about pardons.
What's that?
This is the headline I'm reading.
I'm so ready for
from
this.
Fox 13. I imagine a Fox affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tiger King star Joe Exotic books limousine ahead of expected pardon from Donald Trump.
Oh, I've heard buzz about this, but I thought that was just like Twitter nonsense.
I'm looking at it over. I can't confirm it. This is Fox 13. This is not. I'm looking at a limo that's that is sitting outside of
yes,
the
Dan,
jail.
we do. We have a live feed of a limo parked near the prison where Joe Exotic is being held.
Let's see if I can get
And
this. Oh, yeah.
Eric Love, the gentleman who's leading Joe Exotic's bid for freedom, said this time tomorrow we're going to be celebrating, and we have good reason to believe it will come through. Joe Exotic, for those who don't know, is currently serving 22 years for trying to hire a hitman to kill zookeeper rival Carol Baskin.
Can you
Okay.
imagine if Joe
They
Exotic
got the limo
gets
outside.
out of prison, takes this limo right to Carol Baskin's house, shoots her in the head,
He's
and
going to
drives
that
himself
sanctuary.
right back to prison? Can you imagine?
I
Look at
think
this.
He'd be fine with it.
Joe Exotic said, as I sit here and pray, waiting that I am on that list, I ask my group of angels to please help God guide this to happen. I'm going to get help so many children fix their faces and stand up for those with no voice. God will be proud. I don't know. That was Joe Exotic. Does he have a Twitter account
Wow.
from prison? Fix their faces? All right, this looks like not a
I
real.
don't know.
This is not real. Okay, all right. Anyway, look, Erin, I think we're done here. What do you think?
I think that we're done.
I
Here.
think
I
we're
got
done. I think
to
the
go.
program's over.
They're starting to push me out. It's
Oh, yeah,
almost
I see this guy's
quitting
approaching you.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
It's a non-scalable wall.
Everyone, couple things to know as we go. I will be starting a new segment next week here on the podcast, which is called the Disinformation Station, which will have its own sound effect you'll hear. But get ready for the Disinformation Station, and that'll be part of when we discuss about where we release information. That'll be an interactive segment for you guys to share me things that are disinformation, and we'll look into debunking it. We'll be the 7 on your side, disinformation on your side. But more information about all that to come. Check out my article on damnblackattack.medium.com and follow me on there. I'll be posting more articles on there, and make sure these are subscribed to our YouTube channel. All that stuff is free, takes a minute, shows that you care, gives you potentially more content from us. Give us something and we'll give it back to you guys. And thank you guys for coming in. We got to get Erin back here. I'm booking Erin on the next flight on a wing of Delta. Thank you for listening to RGM, the regular guy news. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to my Medium page because I'm a Medium man. And everybody, stay regular.